Guys, what is going on out there today? Thank you for stopping in. Another episode of the Gold Ball Hunting Podcast. I am Brent Abel. That is Jeff Jacklich over there. And we are publishing a daily episode. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on iTunes or Stitcher if you've got a different audio format you prefer. But this is episode number 187. So we started this little project, Jeffrey, 187 days ago. We committed to 365. It could be 366 if 2020 is actually a leap year. I don't know.
We just don't know yet.
So it could be that last one that finally puts the nail in the coffin for both of us going, what was I thinking a year ago with this guy?
Yeah.
But guys, before we get into today's podcast, which I think is going to challenge Jeff to articulate it, maybe not, in a way that I can understand. Maybe everyone else can understand it. But I got to feel that if I could understand it, Jeff, I think everyone else can understand it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, not the sharpest tool in the shed over here. But before we get into today's episode, guys, Jeff and I are still offering a free 10-minute private coaching call. 10 minutes may not sound like a ton of time. It is, however, if you bring that one thing in your game right now that could be holding you back from getting the result that you want, whether it's singles or doubles. The way to get on that call is to go over to goldballhunting.com, drop in your first name, email address, click the button, and you'll get access to our online calendar scheduler where you get to cherry pick a date and time that works ideally for your schedule. If you're already on our email list, look, there's somewhere in each email you get from us, it's got a link that will take you to that scheduler, and we'll get you scheduled. In fact, you and I have got a call coming up here in about 42 minutes, something like that. So, Jeff, I want to ask you a question today that you sort of alluded to in yesterday's episode.
Right.
And that is, how can we really kind of get back to perceiving tennis, and no matter what level of competitiveness you are, whether you're a national level player, whether you're playing some tournaments or your leagues, or you're just the Wednesday night brew crew thing, whatever it is, there's some intensity there. There's some level of competitiveness there. How can we actually think of this as something that it really is, as a frickin' game, as opposed to, oh my God, this is life and death? Because it all, my whole social status depends on what happens out here today. So how can we get back to the bare bones of what this thing really is?
Right. Yeah. So, and I think the question I posed yesterday was, have you lost the joy of playing a game? Have you lost the joy of playing games? So whether it's tennis or anything, right? If you're, a lot of tennis players have other sports activities that they like to, engage in, golf or, whatever it might be. And so I think that joy is lost in the journey as we get involved in tournaments and league tennis and, club status, what's your rating and the influence of that kind of pressure. And, we walk into these things, I think, innocently enough, I used to play a little bit in college and blah, blah, blah. Hey, you should come out for the team, and the person hasn't been on the court for, 25 years. And here they are now 50 years old and, hey, it sounds like fun. They've met some of the people on the team and they all seem like really great people and they go out for their first practice and, hey, that seemed like fun. And then, hey, Jim, we need you for the first match, blah, 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 on Saturday. And then all of a sudden, here it comes.
And by the way, Jim, this is a big match. We've got to win this thing, man. I mean, we're really counting on you.
Yeah.
Gulp.
Yeah, we're really counting on you. We know you've played a lot of tennis before, so we're going to put you in this position. And if we don't get this match, there's a good chance we won't go to sectionals. And all of a sudden it's like,
yeah,
Jim's kind of going, hey, I was hoping to come out, play a few sets, have a beer, kind of, maybe talk about some glory days, or maybe, God, that was a lot of fun.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, the joy killer, it has taken a full swing at Jim.
The joy killer.
And, and now Jim's caught up in it a little bit himself, because he's kind of blindsided by the idea, but he's in it, and he's still kind of in the honeymoon phase where he wants to play tennis again. He likes to play tennis. He played tennis as again as a younger man, and now here he is. He's playing, and he wants to play more tennis. He sees this as the vehicle to make it happen. But it's kind of like the frog in the water on the pot on the stove, where if you slowly heat the water to a boil, the frog won't know that he's actually dying, right? And they just sit there until they're dead. Because it's a slow process. And so I think that the same thing happens in tennis, where the joy is slowly extracted by the pressure to win.
Yeah. Well, look, I think there's I think it's mostly social status, and I think there's a small percentage that actually are so internally motivated to win for whatever reason that they just completely lock themselves up when they play, because the consequences in their mind are so great. Again, whether it's social status or whether it's just, I look at myself this way. I don't care what anyone else thinks, but personally, I look at myself this way, and if I'm not winning, then something's wrong. So all that said, let's say that we've got someone. Let's say Jim has finally gotten the joy killer, and it's been a couple of years, and it's part of the program now. He goes out there, and he's competing like crazy for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
How do you help? Jim comes to you. He flies over there to Pontiac, Michigan, the Western Lawn Tennis Club. Jeff, I don't want to go on the court, man. All I want to do is sit down, and you got to tell me, how do I get back to the joy of this thing being in a game? Right.
Well, first, we might sit down and choose what bourbon we're going to drink for the next hour. Right.
That's the joy enhancer.
That's first we got to get the mind calm a little bit and out of the box, right? No, I think, it's interesting. I think if everybody could actually be honest with themselves and actually get a video of themselves playing, right, a match, or at least an actual set of league tennis or tournament tennis, and hopefully there'd be some sort of, let's say, conflict in the match, some sort of exchange with the other team, right, or with their partner, so they could see how they react, so they could see how do I actually behave on the court? Because I think there's a huge disconnect there, where whatever conflict, whatever thing is going on the court, we immediately go to ego and pride, and we're going to justify how we're responding in that moment, rather than looking at it and kind of going, wow, that really was kind of ugly on my part. And do I need to go there in that moment? Was that a personal attack on me, or was the guy just questioning one of my calls? Or is that just this guy's tactic? He's going to question my calls the whole match. Seems like he's got bigger issues right now than I do. I'm making an honest call, blah, 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 and maybe I need to go get an umpire or something, so that's a whole other subject matter there. But I think, tennis is one of those beautiful games that quite literally, in the heat of competition, exposes who you are. And I think in the league tennis arena, you've got all these people we talked about before, all these players, men and women, who have never competed at anything to that degree, and they really don't know what to do with all the emotions that are just screaming and like pinging through their head, and they have no idea how to manage it. what to take personally, or maybe I shouldn't take any of it personally. And why is this so important? why is this thing that I'm doing all of a sudden creating this kind of anxiety inside me? And why am I allowing that to happen? Because that's really all it is. Tennis is not important. I always say, listen, if someone came out to, Wesson tomorrow and bulldozed all the courts, I might think that was a tragedy, but all the members and all the students would find something else to do, and I'd be out of a job, and then I would move on to something else. So it's how important, where are you putting it in your own mental structure, your own emotional structure for importance, and like, is it really that important? I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, there's lots of different avenues we can go down here with this idea, but I think there's a loss of joy in just the joy of playing a game. And yes, games are competitive, and there's joy in that as well.
Yeah, I remember. I think at the indoors in Houston a couple of years ago, I was sitting around. I guess it was in Minneapolis. I was in Minneapolis at the indoors there, and I'm sitting around with a couple of guys who are, the top guys, and I'm saying, so I keep hearing this thing about, well, let's just go out there and have fun. And, these two guys, they're going, there's no way. There's no way to go out there and compete like crazy, especially if you're one of the top players, and quote unquote have fun. And I just kind of listened to it, and I thought to myself, God, I mean, that just sounds miserable. I mean, at some point.
How's that?
Yeah, I mean, and I get it that you want to go out there and compete like crazy, give it everything you got, but there's so many things you can't control about the outcome that and I think the more that you try to control it, the more frustrating it becomes, because there's just things that you are not under your control. So it's kind of like if you can take a step back and go, look, why don't I just go out there and not worry about or not be concerned about what the end result's going to be. Just go out and just play your little butt off, and
right,
and just forget the rest of it. And I don't know if you ever, again, I still don't understand, the joy of the game for me as a top player is I do love to compete because I like to challenge myself, right? Is that fun? Sometimes, and other times it's not. But at some point at the end of the day, you have to go, my God, it's just frickin' tennis. It's nothing more than that. And if I'm putting more on it than that, then, man, it's time to go find something else.
Yeah, I think, it's not always fun, because of whatever, external factors and things that are interrupting your ability to focus and do what you want to do, on the court. But still, it's I want to be there. You still want to be there in it and experiencing it. So for me, this journey since jumping back into playing in 2012 has been emotional and spiritual and enlightening and all of it. And I know I can say this without a doubt from my experience from 2012 to right now, that the less ego and pride I can play with, the more fiercely I can compete. And I find the pathway of not being concerned with the outcome very clear. And I tend to play my best tennis in those moments, in those matches and in those moments when I'm very clear about not worrying about the outcome and not worrying about, how is this going to affect me, myself, and I. All three of us.
All three of those guys. Well, look, I would say, in fact, you and I got to wrap this up because we got a coaching call coming up here in just a few minutes. But I would say to everyone else out there that, look, theoretically, this might all sound great to you, but practically, you've actually got to practice this mindset. I mean, you've got to put yourself in practice situations to start where, and it's not meaning that you don't care. It doesn't mean that you get sloppy. It doesn't mean that you just don't really try. But it just means that you practice this sense of getting your ego out of it, and and just seeing what that feeling is like at the end of the day. And eventually, I think you'll come to that epiphany, that moment, that aha moment, where you kind of go, you know what? This is actually more fun to have this mindset, win or lose, than trying to just grit the teeth and white knuckle the thing and just, I got to win, man, because of all these little stupid reasons that don't mean anything. Because at the end of the day, it's just a game, right? It's just tennis.
Right.
And well, listen, guys, hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, a quick reminder, a free private coaching call, 10 minutes. Bring that one thing in your game to the coaching call, to me and Jeff, just three of us, conference call. And it could be what we're talking about today. How do we help you transform from the gnashing of the teeth to, I'm not going to say it's the Zen thing, because even though I was born and raised in Berkeley, I don't know. But anyway, so to get in that call, goldballhunting.com, first name, email address, click the button, and you'll get access to the online calendar scheduler so you can cherry pick a date and time that works best for you. Jeffrey, what do we want the fine folks to do right now?
Love you to like us, share us, please subscribe. Let us know what you think down below.
Beautiful. Guys, get out there today. Help someone else have a great day. Jeff, let's do this again tomorrow.
Can't wait.
All right.